2026 seems to be carrying on the trend of being absolutely insane, not letting its foot off the gas. The protests over in Iran are crazy. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But it seems like 2026 just seems to keep getting stranger and stranger. We've had the president of Venezuela being taken. We've had the oil tankers being taken over. We've had threats on Greenland. We've had Taiwan being encircled by China. We've got mass protests in Iran that the US is trying to, without directly saying it, support it. We're going to get into it today. It's a lot, guys. It is a lot. And so, before we get into this news, this little bit of a news bit, I do want to say I have got a drink that I have released, and I know you're like, you're trying to sell me something. It's not about just the drink. This is about getting outside. Our intentions is a mushroom-based drink and a nature-based community. That is our goal, is to get as many people outside as possible. And when your news feed on YouTube or when you're scrolling, your algorithms are constantly feeding you the news around the world, which is quite jarring and quite worrying. I know for me, I worry a lot about what the world's going to look like for my children, and that can be quite distressing. One way to kind of bring you back down and center you is to just get outside and go for a walk, connect with nature, and take some deep breaths. This is what we do all the time in the military. It's what we do all the time here at Original Human and Morale. So if you want to support the cause, watch some content about getting outside more and learning about the outdoors, go over to the Instagram, go to the website right here, buy some stuff, and then go to the YouTube channel, Drink Morale, where we're getting some really good content put out. But it's really important. We talk about this stuff all the time, about military stuff. And yeah, like just me and you, we like the military stuff. Like we like talking military stuff, military, equipment and tactics and all this sort of stuff. Why is me mic's flaccid? My mic's flaccid. But every now and again, get yourself outside, take some deep breaths, because it can be quite daunting to be in fight or flight often. All right, guys. Also, before we get started, check out Chug if you want to put your morale in something. I don't know why I can't talk again today. I've cursed myself or something. Someone's put a curse on me. The past few videos, I've not been able to talk. If you want to buy yourself a Chug, 10% off, link down below, for the best drinking vessel in the world, handmade here in the UK by a small business using sustainable materials, all really important things, free customization, free bag. You can take the metal insert out, put it in your dishwasher so you can protect your wood. Always protect your wood, guys. Always protect your wood. All right? Link down below. Ships to America. I think I already said that. All right, let's get into this, all right? We have got potential regime change in Iran. It is kicking off. It is insane. And it doesn't seem to be slowing down. We've got visuals here. We've got Trump announcing that if the Iran government starts fighting back against protesters, then America may get involved, which is quite daunting. The supreme leader of Iran obviously wants to keep his power, which, by the way, anyone calls themselves supreme leader? It's a bit sus. I don't know if I've just been watching too much Star Wars, but it's a bit sus. Supreme leader? Anyway, the US wants this regime change without directly coming out with it. They obviously want it. They want to spread a bit of freedom and democracy. And right now, Iran doesn't have that. They're going to turn around and say that all these protests are because of rising inflation, cost of living, etc., etc. But that's been going on for so long. Then the US bombed Iran last year, and I think it just toppled over the edge. I think it just sparked something that was already ongoing. That's a really bad analogy. It made it worse. It was already kicking off, and the bombing that the US did just kind of sent it over the edge. And so we're seeing the US wanting to get involved. Iran's turned off the internet and phone networks all over the place. There you go. Iran's warned not to do anything, or they will get involved.
The protests, they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts.
So when Trump came out and said that, the supreme leader of Iran turned around and said, if you do that, then we're going to attack US bases and Israeli bases, which, by the way, I feel like these type of threats from the supreme leader of Iran is kind of, at this point, just doesn't matter, because the US has been in there. End of last year, they went in, they bombed Iran, and Iran was not able to do a single thing. Nothing. So when you get a threat like that, it kind of feels irrelevant, doesn't it? More footage. I mean, you're seeing footage all over the place because of how long it's been going on for. But let's read the headlines right here. Iran warns of strikes on U.S. troops as Trump weighs action. 538 Iranian protesters reportedly dead, although that is like the confirmation dead. There's a reports going around that it could be over 1,000 people dead here. On January 11th, President Donald Trump is weighing a series of potential military operations in Iran following deadly protests, while Tehran warned U.S. strikes would make regional U.S. and Israeli bases legitimate targets, which, come on. The demonstrations began on December 28th over soaring inflation and rapidly spread to over 574 locations across Iran's 31 provinces. They're continuing into the third week. Internet monitor, so internet's going down. They're saying that about 530 people have died, although there's supposed to be more than that. White House options focus on striking Tehran's security service, but officials warn striking could backfire by rallying support or provoking retaliation, while Israeli held security talks with U.S. officials. Past clashes underscore escalation risk. Israel and Iran fought a 12-day war in June. We already know about that. We covered that. Listen. It's kicking off. I've got this map here that was sent. I know it's CNN. Don't come at me for that. I know it is. But someone sent me this particular link because of this map here, which I think is quite a decent map, to be honest with you. And this is showing where all the protests are taking place around Iran. So there's Tehran right there, Tehran, the capital right there. But as you can see, these protests are going on all over the place. The green are high protest, medium, the medium and low practically the same, but you get the point. These protests are going on quite drastically. Now, with that being said, I do want to remind everyone that Iran does have nuclear weapons. They do have nuclear weapons. Trump says Iran wants to negotiate, reached out for possible nuclear talks. President Donald Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One on the 12th, which was today, that Iran's leadership called seeking talks and the US military is considering very strong options. Rights monitors say the death toll is 544 and over 10,000 arrested amid Iran's national internet blackout at 1% connectivity lasting at least 84 hours. Verified footage shows dozens of bodies at the Kazrisik Mark, while rights groups report most victims died from live ammunition or pellet gun fire, including 8 children. 8 children. Ugh. It pisses me off that. People know on here, it's not good, is it? That shit's not good. Iran's Revolutionary Guard warned President Donald Trump to expect a harsh response, while Trump threatened to hit Tehran very hard if killings continued, raising risks of retaliation on Israel and regional US bases. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said the country is ready for war, but also negotiations, while China urged non-interference and Germany condemned disproportionate violence. So it doesn't seem to be slowing down. This is something that's going to be ongoing probably throughout 2026. It's something to keep an eye on. Could we see American boots on the ground? I think that is quite unlikely. I think we're more likely to see bombings. We know that that's the preferred option for America. It's to not put boots on the ground and not put American troops at risk. And so bombings with the B-2 bombers, which happened last year, they could go straight out there again and do it again. Let's be honest, they could do it again. They could also use that weird sound technology that was reported that was used in Venezuela. Did you hear about that? That they apparently used some sort of sound technology that made people bleed from the noses. I don't know. From the noses? From the nose. Noses? Who says noses? It's like I'm talking to a kid. Got your nosies. You're bleeding from your nosies. American troops coming in with Delta Force. Got your nosies. Anyway, I saw this video. I thought this was also very, very important to talk about. Considering we're here in the UK and a lot of people are watching this from America, this was the embassy in London where a guy went up. He's trying to rip down the regime flag. Unsuccessfully, he doesn't rip it down. He kind of just tucks it to the side here. figures out he's not going to get that down. And then he holds the flag up upside down. But then he figures it out. He's like, oh shit, it's upside down. And then he gets it right. So it took a while, but he got there. He got there. Cool. He got there. Good on him for climbing up there and doing that. This is also in LA in America. A protest was happening and a truck plowed through the protest. Luckily, no one died. There was a couple people injured, but luckily no one died, which is really good. What I'm trying to say, in fact, another thing is, so Steph and her friend went out in Manchester to do like this activity scavenger hunt thing, and she saw protests happening in Manchester, England for the regime change as well. And so what I'm trying to say with this last little bit here is the protests, even though obviously they're happening in Iran where it's violent, protests do happen here in the West as well to try and influence politics to help out what's going on. And so if you live in a major city, just be aware that these things are going on. Make sure if you've got a family that you protect them and you don't put them in places where they could potentially get hurt. If there's a protest going on and you planned a day out with your kids, maybe reschedule, okay? If you see protests and they're taking their kids out to protest, I feel like that's a bit of a red flag. So just be careful, okay, guys? If you've got kids, don't take them to these major cities if you know that there's a protest going on. Okay, so what do we think? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. It seems like 2026 is just, it's insane, isn't it? I don't think we've started a year in the past decade where it's been this crazy. Ukraine was invaded by Russia, I think it was like in March or something like that. So it was a bit further into the year when that kicked off. Was it? Maybe it was a bit earlier than that. But to say that we've started the year off with the president of Venezuela being taken and potentially using some weird sort of crazy technology, threats on taking Greenland, Taiwan being encircled, the US taking on the Shadow Fleet in coordination with the UK and NATO forces. We've got threats now on Cuba as well. We've got protests in Iran. It's been a chaotic start to 2026. I think we could all agree on that. Whether you're for some of these things or against them, you know, there's a lot of different debate for a lot of different situations going on around the world now. What we can say is it's been chaotic. So watch yourself a couple of these videos. Stay up to date so you can keep your family protected if need be. But also go get outside. Go follow some of the content from Ra. Get outside, learn about the outdoors, connect with the outdoors because it ultimately grounds you a little bit. All right, guys? Check out Chug, 10% off. Link down below for the best drinking vessel in the world. I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe. I love you all. Goodbye.